Hi guys, welcome back to my channel again. Today I'll be making a very short video on how to set up virtual environments in Python 3. If you have got some practical knowledge, you should have seen lots of modules are required to have a virtual environment set up while running any Python script. So today I'll be just telling you on how you could set that up in all operating system. It could be Mac, Windows, Linux, whichever you use. So first thing that you will need in your machine is a Python that's been installed. If it's not installed, what you got to do is just go to, let's say, the search for Python. Technically it's in python.org. Once you're here, you can just go to download and just download the file and just start the installation. I assume you got all the installation ready, so I will straight away go to the terminal here. Let's assume you got the Python installed. So just to make sure you have got Python installed, just go here and always do Python v. Just make sure you are in right version. So in my Mac, by default, the Python is showing 2.7, so this is not what I'm interested in, and I'll be interested in Python 3 if you do Python 3v. Another thing is you also need to have pip installed, so that means there is no pip installed by default. So if I do pip 3, then you get a lot of things. That means I've got the pip 3 installed in Python 3. So if we do which pip 3, you should see it's in this directory, right? I just want to set up virtual environment rather than using this default pip3 or default Python, right? So what I'll do is, if you go to Google and let's say virtualenv, you will see a lot of things here that you could use to set up the Python like virtual environment. Let's say if you are a starter, these documentation might confuse you a bit, but mark my words, once you are used to it, all these will be very simple, and with experience you will know where to look after. So if you want to check, if you want to use pip inside the Python, you can always do Python 3 then pip version. This will give you the pip version that you have in your Python 3 environment. This is the default one. If you do which Python 3, this is inside homebrew bin. This is the default one for my Mac machine, and this is not what I wanted. I'm in my own directory. Let's say what I will need to do is Python 3 module. There you go. Now this is setting up virtual environment. Let's get inside the virtual environment folder itself. Now, if you do Python 3, you are still using a default Python 3, which means the virtual environment is not activated yet. So, next step would be activating the virtual environment that's called YouTube venv. Now, to activate that one, what you gotta do is remember this command source, and since I'm already inside, okay, let's do ll. Now, since I'm already inside where? The YouTube virtual environment that we initially created. So what we'll do is to activate that one source, there is a folder called bin, folder called activate. And if you do this, enter, as you see, you will see a virtual environment that's been activated. Now, remember previously what I used to do, which Python 3. Now initially it was when the virtual environment was not activated, it was using the default one, and now the moment I activated the virtual environment, now I'm using which Python, which is inside the virtual environment that we have set. So you can also do Python, will give same, so both are same directory, Python or Python 3. That's one thing. This is how you activate. Now let's assume you will have multiple virtual environments. Let's say Python and mv env, let's say YouTube env2. Now if you do ll, you will see two environments. Initially we were using the default one, I mean to say the first virtual environment that we created. Now let's assume you want to use that one. So what you need to do now here is you just need to give a command called deactivate, which will deactivate the current active virtual environment. If you do which Python, it should show the default one because there is no virtual environment or virtual environment that's been activated. Now it's very straightforward. Now if you want to activate the second virtual environment that we created, you just need to do the same process. Source, then there will be bin, then activate. You see, now you have a new virtual environment that you created is activated. If you do which Python, you will see it's inside this virtual environment. I hope you understand how multiple virtual environments can be used. This is very helpful when you have a lot of libraries that you want to test in the latest version of those libraries. You won't see any issues now because right now, let's say whenever you write a script, like let's assume you are just using one single library. But imagine when you have a full-fledged or fully working script, you'll have multiple modules. And if you want to test like all the versions, that's where you'll need multiple virtual environments. So I will give a quick demo of what I really mean on that part, right? So what I'll do is I will deactivate again, then I'll create my own virtual environment and just myself. So here, source myself bin activate, which Python, you are in the new created virtual environment. Now let's go to our browser. So GitHub. Let's assume this is one of the let's just take this requirements.txt here. Let's go to raw. Let's just copy it. So what I will do here is I'm in there, so I'll create a make directory, let's say testing requirements. So I will go to requirements and I will code. It will open my virtual VS Code in the current directory. So I will create a file called requirements.txt. Then I will paste whatever I've created it. As you can see, let's name it requirements v1, and I will name it as pip requirement file. See here, you have multiple versions. Now what I will do is I will go to here, install our requirements v1.txt. Once you hit this command, it will install a bunch of modules that's required. Now, just to give you a scenario, let's say you have another version of requirements.txt. What you do is go here, Google, install pandas. So the current one is 1.5.2. See here, it's using 1.1. Now in the new one, let's assume you want to install this one. Let's remove all of them. And let's just give an example. In our previous example, we were using part 1. Now what we need to do, this script you want to test with 1.5.2. That's when what you will need to do is just to make sure all these scripts works in in multiple versions, what you do is deactivate Python venv, and let's say Python v. Okay, so source test panda bin activate. So if you do is Python, will give you the one you created. Now what I'll do here is pip install r requirements. Now I'll do the new one. Do you see it's installed 1.5.2? So what I'm trying to show here is you can have multiple virtual environments and you can have as many variants of your libraries or modules as you need. This is one of the ways that you could test your code, just to make sure in all the latest libraries that you are dependent on, they work in all the latest updates as well. So this is a quick tutorial how you could set these things up. That's all for now. I will see you in next video. Thanks guys.